Good day, YouTube. This is Jay Money with Falling Forward Financial. Just an update here on Apple. I've got a couple shares here in this account, a lot more shares in my retirement, and I just let them sit there and collect dividends, just let them sit on drip, and buy them when I can. But back to Apple, you can kind of see what it's done here over the last 3 months. Kind of came down a little bit, 136 down to 116. And then it's back up to 134, so it's been kind of all over the place here lately. 127 on up to 129, currently at 129.34. But I'll continue to hold these shares. I even have a partial here. I think I bought a partial at some point in time, a small dividend. If you don't know what Apple is, you can pause and go over that. I'm sure everybody watching this knows exactly what Apple is, but got some information that just came out here. Self-driving startup Aeva says its sensor can detect vehicles over 500 meters away. So I thought this was kind of interesting. Self-driving sensor startup founded by former Apple Incorporated engineers said on Thursday its sensor can detect other vehicles up to 500 meters and pedestrians from a distance of more than 350 meters. So kind of cool technology. The detection range of LiDAR sensors is a key metric for automakers because long detection ranges mean a self-driving vehicle has more time to make a decision, especially at higher speeds. And feel free to pause and go over the rest there for yourself. But LiDAR send out laser beams and detect their reflection when they bounce back off their surroundings to generate an image. A key challenge is detecting dark objects that do not reflect much light. So very cool. I still have Microvision, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But back to Apple. Got great ratings here, strong buy, and so I think they've always had pretty decent ratings. How Apple went to extremes to persuade Netflix against abandoning in-app purchases. Internal email correspondence sheds a light on efforts it made to prevent Netflix from abandoning in-app purchases offered to its viewers, The Verge reported on Wednesday. What happened? The emails revealed that a part of the ongoing lawsuit between Fortnite maker Epic Games and the Tim Cook-led company. The correspondence commences with an explanation that Netflix wanted to run a study that would involve disabling a in-app purchase on the iOS device. And so I haven't heard much about that here as of lately until I started looking at Apple and thought I'd throw some information together and make a video about it, but included was a proposal to advertise Netflix and retail stores the use of a portion of Apple's 30% commission garnered through in-app purchases to pay for search ads and bundling Netflix with other Apple services. And feel free to pause and go over the rest there for yourself. There's quite a bit of information in there. Apple Epic trial. Epic's claim of stifled competition on cloud gaming offers compelling bookend to price gouging charges. And so again, it kind of goes over some of the information that we just went over. Epic is an attempt to paint Apple as a monopolist emerged from its depiction of Apple's treatment of competing cloud gaming platforms. So it could be another reason why the stock is slightly down. We'll just have to wait and see if they can pull through it and bring it back up. But it talks about the landscape of Apple Arcade and video game subscription service available on the iOS device. Microsoft Corp executive revealed the software giant spent 4 months discussing with Apple how to launch xCloud as a native app, only to claim Apple demanded Microsoft, Nvidia, and others listed cloud games as separate apps. And so kind of a tug of war between some of them, and sometimes it's just see who's going to be the bigger alpha. They're all huge companies: Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, all want their big slice of the pie. So feel free to pause and go over the rest there for yourself. Exacting rules hampered Epic and others. Its attorneys hammered home at a time when mobile gaming sales are expected to improve 6% to $90.7 billion this year, more than half of an otherwise flat $175.8 billion global market, according to Newzoo. A member of Apple's legal team Wednesday called out Microsoft's hypocrisy for its holier-than-thou posture and on antitrust. And so, just like I said, it's who's the bigger dog. So feel free to pause and go over the rest. There's quite a bit of information in there. You can find this on MSN Money. And I'm sure there'll be more information coming out about that. That's just more information about the trial. June 25th, options now available for Apple. And this is just dated here today. Saw options become available today for the June 25th expirations. Formula has looked up and down Apple options chain, the new June 25th contract. So it's showing a $120 strike price with a current bid of $227. Investor was to sell to open the put contract. They are committing to purchase the stock at $128, putting the cost basis of the shares at $125.73. So if you do options, you might want to check that out. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. More times than not, I don't do options, but every once in a while I'll give them a shot. So Apple just crushed earnings. 3 things investors need to know. Again, this is just dated here today. Company announced second quarter earnings last week. Expectations across the board, and this came on the heels of the launch event. Apple's products are in high demand. Revenue surged 62% year over year in the second quarter, driven by strong demand across the iPhone, iPad, Mac product lines. Mac computers set an all-time revenue record. Last 3 quarters for Mac have been at least have been the best 3 quarters ever. And so I know all the sales went up during the pandemic. Everybody was getting devices, computers, and so on, because everybody's stuck at home. So according to JP Morgan, the M1 chip could also reduce the cost of production by $75 per unit. In other words, Apple Silicon delivers a better experience for consumers while reducing expenses for the company. Apple's services business is gaining momentum. Q2 as year over year accelerated to 27%. While the figure isn't as dramatic as the 62% uptick in product sales, it still bodes well for the future. And so get services and keep the revenue coming through, and that will help boost up the stock as well. And they have room to grow the dividend as well, so we'll see if that happens in the months and years to come as well. The semiconductor shortage may be an opportunity. Over the past year, the COVID-19 pandemic sparked demand for PCs and smartphones as consumers transition to remote work. That, combined with residual effects of the U.S.-China trade war, has triggered a global semiconductor shortage. Today, demand far exceeds supply, and experts think the situation may take 2 years to resolve. Samsung recently warned investors that mobile sales and profits are likely to fall in the next quarter. Apple also referenced the situation, noting the supply constraints would have a $3 billion to $4 billion impact on revenue next quarter. However, Apple CFO and headwind would primarily affect the iPad and Mac. Over here to Reddit, see if there's any new juicy details. Yellowing 30,000 house down payment on Apple and Clove. 17 days ago. That's wow. Apple is on fire. Nothing here as of recently. Over here to Stock Twits. 52-week low of 75.05. If you bought it in there or less, go ahead and list your cost basis. That would be interesting to know. And Head and Shoulders on the daily, massive bull flag on the monthly. So this one has been up and down here lately. I just continue to hold, but sometimes I've thought about trading in it where it's been up and down, but I don't watch it that closely. So, but basically, if you did, you just have to set your stops, your alerts, and then you could do it. But this is interesting. Solely, they're a tiny company who had just changed the game. Groundbreaking tech, TAC2 removal and cellulite treatment. Huh. And over here to tip ranks, showing a 23% upside to 159.96. Once they get through the lawsuit with the game and the other information that I went over, we could see this by the end of the year. I have faith that they'll get back up there again. A high of 185 and a low of 125, so we'll see what happens. And if you haven't smashed that like button yet, go ahead and hit that for me, as well as subscribing and hit the bell so you're notified of when the next videos drop. Again, this is J Money, Falling Forward Financial. Happy trading, happy investing, stay green. Cheers.